Who's your emergency contact? Who should be notified in case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. Now, during the time I was in the SHU, right before I came home, like I said, I was under investigation. But, okay, start over. Who's your emergency contact? Who should be notified in case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. I was taking you guys back a little bit while I was in E Block. In E Block, when I was over there, we had got put on lockdown. You know, a lot of things were happening or whatever, so we got put on like a 2-month lockdown. And during this lockdown, they were taking us out, coming in, shaking down, taking our property, taking it up to the SHU to X-ray it and all that stuff. And then they were moving everybody around because, you know, they didn't want everybody to be hanging out with their homeboys, so they were trying to split up the unit. And in the process, they found something in my cell, and they had locked me up. You know, but the thing they found, they tried to give me a knife shot for it. It was just a piece of metal, but it hasn't been sharpened. There was no tip to it. So at the end of the day, when I went to the SHU, I just ended up hitting with having contraband, you know, instead of having a knife, which brings it down from a 100 series shot to a 300 series shot. You know, having contraband is a 300 series shot, which most of the time they don't even give you SHU time for it. But if you had a knife, you could get 30, 60 days or even catch a case for it. You know, so I was only in the SHU for about 2 weeks. Well, while I was in the SHU, you know, there's nobody back there that are Asian. So I was put in a cell by myself. They tried to take me up there and put me with this Armenian dude that ran white. But him running white, he knows he can't celly up with me. Because if his people on the yard finds out that he's cellied up with me, when he gets back on the compound, they're gonna smash him. You know, the white, they're real strict and, in my opinion, real goofy with some of their politics. You know, I knew him. They brought me to his cell. And I was like, oh, what's up, man? Damn, where you been? He goes, oh, man, I've been in here for 6 months. Because, you know, he had stabbed somebody on the compound. I didn't really know what transpired with his incident, but he had stabbed another white dude on the compound for being disrespectful or whatever. So he's been in the SHU for the last 6 months. And, you know, when you're on the compound, people disappear. And you might not notice them, especially in Florence, because the yard is split up. So most of the time, you don't really see people from other blocks anyway, unless it's walking to rec or going to the chow hall. Outside of that, you really don't see nobody unless you're looking for them. So when they brought me up to his cell, I don't have a problem selling up with anybody. I can go in the cell with anybody. I've been in cellies with blacks. I've been cellies with Mexicans. I've been cellies with whites. But when they brought me over there to his cell, he looked at me, he's like, damn, Mesa, man, you know the politics. I said, yeah, I know. So I told the CO, I said, hey, man, put me in another cell. Like, oh, you're supposed to go in here. It's like, listen, just put me in another cell. And, you know, respect to the CO, he understood the politics. And he put me in another cell just right across the hall from him. So while I'm in there by myself, the door opens up, or the CO comes up, say, hey, you know so-and-so. I forgot his last name, but he's NF, Nostra Familia. He's the homie from out of Oakland, I think. And we call him Hennessy. You know, he had got RICO'd with all the NF out of the Bay and got a life sentence. They had like 2 bodies. Some people got, you know, they burned down the house to cover up the body, and it was a whole lot of shit. But, you know, he stayed solid on his case. And he was a youngster. He was like, well, not a youngster, but he was in his late 30s already. Younger than me, mid 30s, but he was still younger than me. And he had got put on when he came to Florence. They had made him an NF. So they say, hey, so-and-so? I said, yeah. I said, can you celly up with you? I said, yeah, anybody can celly up with me. I'm not going to refuse any celly. And if whoever they put in the cell with me, if he ends up being foul or fucked up or whatever else the case, I'll deal with it. But I'm never going to tell the COs that somebody can't come in my cell. And the only reason that I didn't go into the white boy cell, the Armenian dude, because he asked me not to come in because he knows if he allows me in the cell, he's going to get fucked up when he gets back on the yard. So out of respect for him, I asked the CO to put me in a different cell. So they brought the dude over, they brought the homie over, they slid my door open and put him in my cell. And me and Henny, we're tight. We used to live in the same block before they split us up. When we all lived in DA, but then we end up, when they were turning DA into an honorary unit, they took him to C block and he took me to E block. Me, him, and another Norteño named Joe, we used to work out every morning together. We lived in the corner upstairs, and every morning we come out, we had our routine, and at night we come and cook together. We kicked it. So when he came in my block, when he came in my cell, I'm like, damn, what's up, man? He goes, man, you don't even know, you don't even understand. He was frustrated, he was heated, with the situation that brought him to the shoe. And, with the NF, they're a solid crew. They're killers. They go hard. It don't matter the odds or whatever. I got a lot of respect for how they conduct themselves. They have real stringent rules about, their people not being strung out, that their people not, being in debt. They ran a really tight shift. So, when Henny comes in, he's telling me about what happened. There's this fucking CO out there named Nunez. I think Nunez or Nunoz, one of them. Mexican dude. He's not a regular CO. He's like a counselor or a case manager or something. But cold-blooded bitch. And all the other derogatory terms you can use for him. He's the kind of dudes that give everybody, all the other staff members, a bad name. The kind of dudes that put other staff members in danger because of how he conducts himself. He thinks because of his status, because of his job title, that he don't have to be respectful to everybody else around him. Every encounter I ever heard of him having with other people, he talks crazy, So on this particular incident, we're locked down. And they're coming around shaking everybody down and taking everybody's property and all the rest of it. But he has to pass out chow. During the time of chow, they come in, open your tray slot, and slide the food into your tray slot. So when he came to Henny's door, he slid the food in. Henny tells him, you gotta look through your tray because sometimes all the item is not on there. And after you've been locked down for a month, you're running out of food. So you want to make sure that all your food is in your tray because you're a grown ass man and they're trying to give you kitty proportion. So when they put the tray in when they push the tray in his slot, he does what everybody else does. They make sure all the items in there, and he say, hey. He say, hey, I don't have no tater tots in my. We had hot dogs and tater tots that day. He's like, hey, I ain't got no tater tots in my tray. And Nuno was like, oh, whatever, and closes his tray slot and moves on. He's like, hey, man, what the fuck? So Henny bangs on the door for the other CO. And the other CO comes up that's working in the block, comes up, and he's like, hey, man, I didn't have no tater tots in my tray. Like, what's up? And to that CO, he went and did the right thing. He went and got Henny another tray. Went and grabbed another tray that had tater tots and gave it to him. So when they're coming up, picking up but Nuno seen that, and he was like, he was in his feelings about it because, he feels like he's the law, that you get what I give you, and don't cry about it. And he says shit like that, man. Don't be fucking sitting here crying, don't be bitching about shit. Like some of those people, I just don't understand their mentality. No one's asking for anything extra. This is what you say we got coming, so let us get what we got coming. And so, but to Henny, he's like, fuck it, he's gonna rub it in his face. So when he came down and picked the tray, he goes, yeah, thank you for the tater tots, to the other CO when they opened the tray to pick it up. He stuck his head out through the cup tray and was thanking the other CO for getting him the tater tots, but he's doing it for Nuno's, to piss him off. So a couple days go by, the COs are coming into the block to shake down their unit. And they come in, you got to pack up your property, take it downstairs. They bring in the x-ray machine into the unit. You run your property through the unit. So Henny was telling me that when they were downstairs packing up their property, that dude Nuno's is going through his property and he was just throwing his shit out. Stuff that, they give you a list of things that you can have, and everybody take care to make sure they meet that list, because if you don't, they're going to throw it away. So if people have an extra pair of shoes or extra sweats or something, they'll shoot a kite out to somebody on the tier, like, hey man, how many pair of shoes you got? Oh, I ain't got so much. I think you can have like 2 or 3 pair of shoes. So if somebody has more than that, these guys, the COs would just take it and throw it away, or make you mail it home. But who's gonna fucking mail a pair of freaking jailhouse sneakers home? What are your people gonna do with that stuff? So at the end of the day, no one's gonna waste the money to mail all their access property home, so that it ends up getting donated to the jail. That's what they call it. But really, they just put it in a room, and then they pay the rats off with it. They take your stamps. If they take your extra pair of shoes, these fucking jailhouse rats that's working with the administration, they'll fucking be able to go in and grab a pair of shoes, but they always say, oh, yeah, look what I found in the dumpster, or whatever. But so Henny was telling me there was items in there that he went through the list to make sure that all his items, met the criteria. But that dude Nuno's was still trying to throw some of his stuff out. And he's like, hey, man, what the fuck? Why are you throwing my shit out? Now, understand, during lockdown, when you come out of your cell, you're cuffed up. So, you're cuffed up behind your back. You're just sitting on the bench waiting for them to go through all your property. So Nuno's like, what you say? And he picked up Henny and slammed him on his face. Boom. And starts yelling, stop resisting, stop resisting, stop resisting. So when he did that, all the other COs came and jumped on Henny or whatever and restrained him, put shackles on him or whatever. But, and I have no reason to not believe the homie, because he's somebody that, his integrity is up to par. I'm nobody for him to impress. I'm nobody for him to lie to. And we're stuck in a cell, so there's no reason to fabricate and make up shit. So he's like, yeah, man, that fucking bitch motherfucker slammed me on my face. They roughed me up, took my shit. I lost all my stuff, then locked him up. But Hes A NF, or Nuestra Familia. They're known throughout the system to be one of the organizations that go hard. That, you're not going to just be able to disrespect one of them. That's regardless if you're an inmate or a staff, and be allowed to go get away with it. So Henny was asking me, man, what do you think is going to happen? You think they're going to let me back out? I said, man, according to, just what we know about this dude Munoz, because, on the shot, they put him for threatening a staff. He's like, man, I never threatened the motherfucker. I was just like, what the fuck you doing taking my property? And the dude picked him up, body slammed him, and roughed him up and the rest. But then he writes in the report that Henny had threatened him. So, having that experience, I got taken to the SHU when I was in Atwater, and they wrote on my shot that I was threatening a staff and trying to incite a riot, which was bogus, cold-blooded lie. But they don't care. And they didn't want me back on the compound, so they shipped me to the SMOOTH program. So I told Henny, I said, shit, most likely, homie, you're going to get shipped out. And he's new to the system. He's been in the state or whatever, but he's new to the feds. And he's only been there for maybe 2-3 years. And it's the first USP he's been to. So I'm like, shit, they're probably not going to let you back out. He goes, man, for this bullshit? I was like, listen, the dude's a coward. He violated you. He's lying on you. And he's scared. Because he knows that you're affiliated. And he's going to be afraid that something's going to happen to him. So a week later, I come back out to the SHU. Because they dropped my SHU from a knife shot to just contraband. So they kicked me out. And I went back, when they kicked me out, they put me back in DA. That's how I ended up back in DA. So when I come out, I got kites that I'm bringing out for the people that's in the, every time you come out, when people find out that you're going to get back out on the compound, they're like, hey, Mason, can you send this kite to so-and-so? So the night before I'm leaving, people are shooting me lines, sending me kites to deliver to the prospective homies. And one of the kites I had was to be delivered to the other members of the NF, explaining in his word what's going on with the situation. So when I come out, a couple of the NFs comes like, hey, what's up, man? Man, that was cool that you and Henny was in there being cellies and stuff. So what happened with him? And I was like, well, here's the kite. I don't need to explain nothing because, me retelling the story is not going to be exactly how he told it to me because I wasn't there and I don't know the detail. So I just gave him the kite that Henny sent out with me. And a dude named Spider, he's an OG, cool motherfucker. He's one of them dudes that's already in his late 50s, almost early 60s, but still act like a teenager. And he's a little, I'm not saying off like as in like on the spectrum, but just he's a nut. You know what I mean? But he's cool as shit. So he reads the kite, whatever, they walk the lap, they come back. He's like, man, is there anything that he said in the kite? I mean, is there anything that he said to you that he couldn't say in the kite? Because, in the kite, just in case it gets busted, they got to speak in codes and, they can't be real direct with all whatever directions that they're trying to give. And I was like, nah, what's up? He's like, man, if he wants to, we'll go in there and punish that motherfucker. And, Henny never said anything to me like that. And I told him, and I relayed the same thing. I was like, I don't think he really wants any of you guys to do anything about it. He's just going to take the L. And then I know they're going to transfer him. And he's like, he's cool. We just don't want you guys to get caught up over this bullshit. But that dude, Munoz, never came back to work. Before I left from that incident until I left, I was still in Florence for 2 years. And that bitch motherfucker never came back to work. Why? Because he has a guilty conscience. He fucked up. That he went and violated somebody without reason. Because there's COs in there that's jumped on dudes, that's beat up inmates or whatever because of whatever confrontation. And I forget one of the CO's name. But, the natives was punishing somebody. And he went over there and, tackled the dude, slammed him, roughed him up really, really bad. And the SIS went and asked them, like, hey, man, you got an issue with this dude coming back out? Because, you kind of roughed him up pretty bad in that incident. He's like, nah, I was doing my job. I ain't got no guilty conscience. I'm cool. And out of respect, for the inmates for the natives that he did roughed up, they were stabbing up somebody. And the CO ran him there and tackled him. And they didn't have any issue with how they got dealt with because they know that's part of your job. That's part of the CO's job. But when it comes to bitch motherfuckers like Nuno's, everybody knows that's extra. And that shit's unnecessary. And all you're doing is trying to fucking, insert your authority. And that becomes an issue. And that bitch motherfucker knew that was the issue. So, again, the whole time I was there, 2 years after the incident, he never came back to work. And that's what people realize, that we're not just in there trying to be crazy or trying to cause drama, but there's always has to be a respect level. And when that line is crossed, it doesn't matter if you're an inmate or a staff. You can get it. And everybody knows it. And they understand it. That's why a lot of these COs that are cowards, they know who they can and can't pick on. When it comes to people that are affiliated with these organizations, with these families, when they know they violate them, they get all fucking scared and don't come back to work. But when it's somebody that they don't think that has any affiliation or whatever, they feel like they have liberty to be able to disrespect them. But even then, these dudes, they're men. And there's only so much they can tolerate before they butcher you. Welcome to the USP.